I said, yeah. The next day, the dispatcher called me. I'm out driving my police car. He said, Shakoor Mustafa. I said, yes. He said, report to the mayor's office. I said, whoa. So I came to the mayor's office. The mayor was in his office, busy. He said, come in. I came in. He says, oh, he never looked at me. He says, oh, I hear that you're interested in being part of the family. Listen, I think like a Muslim. I think like a Muslim. When he said being part of the family, I was offended. I got my own family. I got my own family. I said, well, I don't know, Mr. Mayor, about being part of the family. I said, but I do think it's an honor to work for the chief executive, the boss of the city. I think it's an honor. I'm not going to go there and say, nah, man, you crazy? I got my own family. No. Allah said in the Quran, He sent Musa to go talk to Pharaoh. And what did he tell him to do? He said, speak nice to Pharaoh. He's smart. So I said, no, Mr. Mayor, I don't know about being part of the family. I'm not a Catholic. I got my own family. You're my family. You're my future. And listen, if nobody didn't tell you, I'm counting on my future. Let me stop my story for a second and tell you something. I looked on the website for the school. Listen, I love this school. I love this school. And I think that all of us, and I'm starting with myself, and I'm going to ask that whoever comes here to visit you, that lives here in the state of New Jersey, in close proximity to this school, we should all volunteer some time during the month. All of us. And I'm going to start with myself, that I'm going to come here by Allah's grace, and I ask Allah to witness what I'm saying. I'm going to come here to volunteer sometime every month during the school. If it ain't nothing but you see me in the hallway sweeping the floor. Because why? Why? Why would I want to do that? I could be busy doing something else. Of all the things in life that I'm most impressed about is the opportunity to give something to Allah. Nobody can give Allah nothing. Allah owns everything. But to give him something, free. Do you know that Allah is so shy that if you give him something, you can't be better than him. He'll give you back. He said in the Quran, if you're grateful, I'll give you more. Does anybody know the payment on the ayah that he mentions in the Quran, that the reward that he pays for the deed that's done for his pleasure? Anybody know the ayah? Okay. When you get an opportunity, look in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 261. Back to my story. So, I became the mayor's bodyguard. And the mayor went to Atlanta, Georgia. And so I got to go with him. So I came to Atlanta. And we're in a hotel. He got a room here. I got a room across from him. I went over, knocked on the door. The mayor opened the door. He said, yeah. I said, Mr. Mayor, my room has a view. Has a view. You can see out to the whole city. Your room doesn't have a view. There's a back wall to the alleyway. I said, why don't we switch rooms? Because as the mayor, you need to be able to think. You need to look out and see the magnificence of life. See the city. See the lights. Why don't we switch rooms? He said, okay. So we switched rooms. He took my room, I took his room. One day, he told me, he said, listen, I want you to give me an 8 o'clock wake-up call in the morning. I said, okay. So the secretary calls. She calls, it's 5 minutes to 8. I pick up the phone. She said, yeah, Mustafa. She said, Mustafa, what you doing in the mayor's room? I said, we switched rooms because my room was nicer than his room. I gave him my room and he took mine. I said, are you going to call him? She said, yeah. I said, okay, would you tell him that you spoke to me and that the call that you're making to him is the call that I'm supposed to give him for 8 o'clock wake-up call? She said, okay. She's thinking that there's some funny business going on. What you doing in his room? So she hung up the phone. She called the man, and I could hear him talking. The man, he got mad just because I didn't call him. Look, sometimes Allah will cause something to happen that's for your benefit. And yet, you might not like it. So the man was mad with me, because I ain't called. So he snuck out of his room, and he was gone all day. So he came back like around 5 o'clock in the evening. So I said, you come in? He says, okay, get ready at 7 o'clock. He said, 7 o'clock, we going to a black tie affair. I said, okay. I'm looking at him. I don't know what he got an attitude about. I ain't do nothing. So 7 o'clock, I come downstairs, I get the car, and he got another guy with him. So we get in the car, and he says, Calvin, I tell him to give me an 8 o'clock wake-up call, and Pam calls, Pam is the secretary, and he tells her to tell me that this is the 8 o'clock wake-up call. He said, who's important to him? And I felt disrespected. I was angry. I don't care who you're talking to. You're talking about me. I said, Mr. Man, Calvin's mouth ain't no prayer book for me. If you got something to say it to me. Right? So then he says, listen, ask that cab driver right there to pull over. He just ignores me. So I said to the cab driver, I said, excuse me, sir. This is the mayor of the city of Newark. He wants to talk to you. So he says, hey, what's going on around here? The cab driver said, what you want to go wrong? What you want going on around here? He said, I want to go where the action at. I'm like looking at him. So he said, there's a place on the south side over there. So he said, listen, I'll pay you to let us follow you. Will you drive over to the south side? So he says, okay. So now I'm driving. I'm mad. Because the man tried to embarrass me in front of somebody else. So we get to the south side. He pays the cab driver. We get out. It's the winter. Dr. Martin Luther King is buried 2 blocks from this place. This place, it's a nude club where there's 150 women inside. And then nobody got on no clothes. So we pull up to the parking lot. We park the car. I got a real nice coat on. Real nice coat. Got fur around the collar. You know, I'm dressed with a suit on. So we go inside the club. We go inside the club and this lady walks up to me. She got grease all on her body and powder on her body and everything. And she wraps her arm around me and says, hey, gorgeous. I said, listen. I said some bad words that she understood. If you don't get up off of me right now. She says, why are you coming here with this attitude? I said, it's a job, not an adventure. So she backs up. I tell her, clean my coat out. And it's a brand new coat. She said, all that stuff on my coat. So she cleans the coat, right? So I check the coat in. So I walk down to where the mayor is at. The mayor and the other guy is over there, and they ordering drinks. He says, let me get a scotch on the rocks. give him a gin and tonic. I woke up, he says, "And what will you have?" I said, "They have ginger ale." He said, "Ginger ale?" He said, "Oh, you don't drink?" I play chess every day. I'm thinking like a chess player. I said, "I don't drink." Ginger ale is a drink. It's nothing. Right? No, that's a chess move. So I said to him, "Listen, man, why are you trying to, humiliate me? I'm doing my job." So he says, "Nobody trying to humiliate you." I said, "Well, you seem to feel like you need to humiliate me. You told the other guy about the wake-up call. Now you're trying to humiliate me about a drink." So he stands there and he starts to drink. So I'm looking at the people in the place. And I said, "Mr. Man, this is a slot joint. When you get to drinking, his mind goes." So he says, "Slot joint." I said, "Yeah, it's a slot. Like how the pig sit in slot. This is what this is." So he sees one girl and he says, "Whoa." He said, "Go over there and put $20 on this girl. I'm telling you, this is how my story begins. This is how my story begins." I said, "Do what?" Before I lost my mind now. This is the man. I'm talking to him like he's my son. I said, "What?" He said, "Go over there and put $20 on the girl." I said, "Is you out your mind?" So he said, "Am I out of my mind?" He said, "When we get back to Newark, give me my gold badge back, and you take the 10. I said, "That's why I took the civil service exam, so nobody can make me a flunky." This is what people do in the real world. When you work for somebody, they think they're your taboo, that they can make you do what they want you to do. So we leave Atlanta and we come back to Newark. Now the mayor told the police director, "I can't use him." What he was trying to do was make me a flunky. And I was offended by that. So this time I maybe got like 11 years on as a police officer. So they took the gold badge and they gave me back the silver one. They told him, they said, "Listen, put him down in the jail in the basement. Nobody get to see him." So the jail was connected to the courts. So I had seniority. So they said, "Okay, move." They called me Move for short. They said, "Move, what we're going to do is let you take the prisoners up every day to the courts. You work in the courts." I said, "Okay." One day I go out to go get me a coffee and a butter roll, and the man seated in uniform, right? The man called the police director and said, "Get in my office in 5 minutes." Police director comes over. He says, "What's the matter?" He said, "You got a guy down there who's a police officer with a beard on, big as Santa Claus." So he said, "Santa Claus? Oh." He said, "Mustafa." He said, "Either you get him to cut it, or I'll get somebody else that can get him to cut it." So now the police director, who's the boss of the police, he tells the captain, "Yo, tell Mustafa, you better cut that beard or else they're going to fire him." So they tell me that. I said, "Listen, I'm not cutting my beard. I'm not cutting my beard. Allah gave me this job, and if Allah don't want me to have this job, he'll give me something else." He obligated himself to take care of me. You remember the hadith about, I think it was Ibn Abbas. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, he said, "Oh, Ibn Abbas, do you know what the right of Allah is on His servant?" Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He said, "Do you know the right of Allah on His servant?" He said, "Allah and His Messenger know best." He said, "The right is that he must worship Him." He said, "Do you know the right of the servant on Allah?" All of us have rights on Allah. He said, Allah and His Messenger know best. He said, the right of the servant on Allah is that if he worships Him, He won't punish him. When they tell me they're going to fire me, I know I got to eat. I know I got to eat. I know I got bills to pay. I got all of those things. وَنَنَمِلُ وَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَالنَّقْصِ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. I know this. So I said, I'm not cutting my beard. If Allah wants y'all to fire me, then He's going to allow you to fire me. And if Allah don't want it, you can't do nothing. They said, oh man, 1,500 police officers. They said, oh, why you just don't cut it and save all of that madness? I said, man, I'm not cutting it. I'm not cutting it. They said, well, listen, man, the union going to have to get you a lawyer. Because today is Tuesday. Friday, they're going to fire you. I said, okay. So next thing I know, I go home that night and a lawyer calls me and says, listen, the union is paying me to represent you. You need to go to the doctors and get a note saying that you can't shave. I said, that's not my situation. He said, go to the doctors and get a note. He said, I can deal with your situation, but if you don't get that note before Friday, you're done. You're not going to have a paycheck. You're not going to eat. You're not going to pay your bills. I said, okay. So I went to the doctors. The doctor saw me and he said, what are you here for, sir? I was in civilian clothes. I said, I'm a political refugee. I'm somebody who politically, they put pressure on me. This is oppression. Look, all the time I'm thinking I'm in a good position. Why? Oh, why? Don't make matters difficult. Because there's no strain between Allah and the oppressed. Listen, you brothers that are bigger brothers than other brothers, don't make matters difficult for the little brothers. Be kind to them. Be gentle to them. Make things easy. Because if you don't, you become the enemy of Allah. So I knew these people was the enemy. So the doctor said, you're a political refugee? I said, yeah. They telling me that if I don't cut my beard, they're going to fire me. The doctor said I could get around that. He wrote a note, and on the note he said, the patient tells me he has a long-standing history with this problem. All this is general, and that he can't shave. I concur with him. I agree with him. So the lawyer told me, when you get the note from the doctor, fax it to me. So I faxed the note to him. The lawyer calls me and he says, listen, the doctor can't say you got a skin disease. I said, Doc, he wants you to say I got a skin disease. The doctor said, I can't do that. So the lawyer says, I'm going to have to get you into federal court today. He says, so be ready. When I call you, come to federal court. So it was another brother. There were like maybe 25 Muslims. Some Muslims shaved. Some Muslims didn't. They had beards. They called me to come to the courtroom. I'm looking at the court. The ceiling was taller than this. I said, wow, this is some courtroom. We get inside the court. The judge says to the lawyer, okay, counselor, what are we here for today? He said, Judge, I need a cause of stay for these two police officers. He said, what do you need a cause of stay for those two police officers for? He said, Judge, if you don't give me a cause of stay, they're going to be fired. Fired for what? Because they wear a beard. Their religion tells them they can't shave. He says, listen, if they fire him Friday, I can put him back to work Monday. He said, yeah, but Judge, then I still have to come back here. He said, okay, I'll give you a cause of state. A cause of state is a court order. Nobody can touch you. Listen, when I went to go to work, they had all of the media out there. Everybody was waiting with the cameras, with the movie camera. Everybody want to see who is these guys. Let me see their beard. So somebody told me, they said, listen, woman, you should come in the back door. Don't go in the front. They got thousands of media people outside waiting for you. So I came in the back door every day. Every day. So they put it down for a trial. One day, I didn't pray Fajr in the masjid because I was working 7 at night to 3 in the morning. So I prayed Fajr on the job. One day I went downtown to a different masjid, and the sheikh saw me and he said, Mustafa, didn't the masjid tell you that I called for you? I said, no, sheikh, he didn't. I don't pray Fajr in the masjid because I be at work. He said, fine. So he took me in the office with him. He said, Mustafa, do you know Sheikh Manshawi? I said, you're talking about the famous Quranic reciter? He said, yeah. I said, I don't know him, Sheikh, but I know of him. He said, I had a dream last night about him. I said, okay. He said, and I saw you in the dream. I said, well, what was I doing, Sheikh? He said, Sheikh Manshawi was tied up in a chair, and he had 2 big guards on the side of him with whips, and they both had on masks like that. He said, I saw you walk up to Sheikh Manshawi and untie him in the chair and hold his hand and walk away from him. And those guards didn't do nothing to you. He said, Mustafa, whatever you're going to do, you're going to be successful. Look, I saw Allah's cover. The sheikh telling me this dream. The next thing I know, these people trying to get rid of me. He said, you're going to be successful. So I went back to the lawyer. The lawyer said, listen, we got a trial date. They set this down for 3 months. So I said to the lawyer, I said, I want to ask you a question. He said, sure. I said, how does it feel to win a fight without even throwing a blow? He said, I don't understand. I said, they think they're fighting with me. They're not fighting with me. They're fighting with him. And they can't win. He said, well, let's just see. We went to court 3 months later. The judge, as soon as he started the trial, the judge says, excuse me, counsel, are they Sunni Muslims? The lawyer didn't know anything about us. But the judge showed me he had knowledge about us. The lawyer turned around and said, what's a Sunni Muslim? I said, tell him here. He turned around and he said, yes, Your Honor, they are Sunni Muslims. The judge said, okay, all right. I got an imam to write a letter to the judge telling him that, listen, if I shave my beard off, all the Muslims going to look at me. Like, what did you do? You sold your soul for $100,000 for a paycheck? I said, I would be disgraced among my people. Make a long story short, the judge said, you don't have to shave. He can keep his beard, and I want the city to pay for his lawyer. The whole courtroom, everybody, Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! The Muslims were so happy. The judge didn't even tell everybody, quiet in the hall. He let everybody celebrate. I was like, SubhanAllah, start crying because I saw Allah's favor. I took a long time to tell you my story. Huh? I told you that the past is important. But what's so important about that for the future? Yes. Right up here? No, you? No? Who can answer that question for me? What's so important about that? Yes. The question is that the past is important, but the future is more important. What's so important about my story? You learn from my story, yes. Stand up, I can't hear you. That's a good point. Whatever you did bad in the past, you can improve upon it in the future. Anybody else? Yes. Don't do something if it's against your religion. That's important. What else? Listen, I want everybody, if you didn't hear my story, that's not important. What's important is this: to love God to Allah, to rely on Allah. Look, I ain't had nobody. Nobody. All 1,500 cops telling me, man, you crazy. Where you gonna keep that there? You're making $100,000. Man, cut that. I said, I'm not cutting that. I got an institution that's against me. But I knew that if this pleases Allah, He's obligated to help me. If I'm obedient to Him. And listen, 11 years on being a police officer, I wasn't real crazy about a beard. According to the lecture that the Sheikh gave who was here, he said we should never ever dislike something that Allah loves. We should never make fun of something that Allah loves. If Allah is with you, who can be against you? The last thing I'm going to tell you about was a story. This is a real short story. They said that there was this is in the Muslim country. They said there was a guy going around raping women. And they told the women, listen, don't come through this area because somebody is doing something wrong and we got to catch him. This one lady, she didn't get the news. Don't come through this area. So the police had the area staked out. Wait, see. This lady came through the area. She came. She kept going. Nothing happened to her. Later, another lady came. She came through, and the police were watching, and they saw the man come out to try to jump on the lady. The police caught him. They took him, they locked him up. They took him to jail. So they said, listen, we want to ask you a question. You're the guy that did all of those other ladies? He said, yeah. He said, why